Welcome back. I just got off the phone the other day with a very old friend of mine, a very wonderful old teacher. His name is Stuart Lyle, and he was my Aikibugai teacher. Wonderful teacher. And it brought to mind a wonderful thing that he told me, one of the most important things that he told me, which I wanted to share with you today as we can apply it to meditation and yoga and to all of the breathing techniques, all of the techniques that are in yoga. And I think it will help us to assimilate all of this more easily and faster, which is fantastic, isn't it? Because we want to be able to do this yoga as deeply as we possibly can. So let's get into that. So I was working with Stuart Lyle. He was a really fantastic Aikibugai teacher, and I really wanted to understand the principles that were at work in the martial art that we were learning. Because he kept stressing, if you can understand the principles, how it's actually working, then you will figure it out and you will make it work for you. But you have to understand the building blocks that are putting it all together. And his approach was so straightforward. It really grabbed me because there's a lot of mystical and there's a lot of things out there that you can listen to, and his voice was so clear and so principle driven that it really stood out to me as very I can grasp this. I can actually take this home and work on it rather than, just doing everything by rote all the time. And so it's really, really helpful. And then one day, I remember we were doing this technique. And I was really concentrated and I was really trying hard to get it, to make it work. And he looked at me and he must have taken pity on me. He must have seen the determination that was inside of me that was kind of a little bit, maybe just a little bit manic, right? He must have seen all of that. And he just goes, Forrest, wait, stop. Just hold on, okay? It's all a trick. I'm like, it's okay. It's all what? This whole thing? It's all a trick, Forrest. The whole thing is a trick. You know what? It's a big bag of tricks, Forrest. That's all it is. And I thought, whoa. And it just took all of this mysterious complexity and it just brought it home into something that I could actually grasp. And nowadays, you go on YouTube and there's a hack for this and there's a hack for that and there's a trick for this and there's a trick for that. Well, all of this yoga that I'm presenting, all of this meditative mellows, all of the heart rate variability, all of these things are tricks. And that attitude that it's just a trick. You're just tricking yourself into the right place. If you can embrace that, well, it'll make everything very easy, right? And you'll just kind of assimilate all of these tricks, which is the idea. And then that assimilation creates skill inside of you. And so now you're operating in skill, right? And so now it's more than a trick now because it's your trick. And so now we call that a skill. And now you have the skill, right? And so you go into meditation and you just start stacking these skills one on top of the other. So I'm going to stack heart rate variability with sitting very still, which will create a consequence of the freeze response. And all of that, if I continue down that road, it will create another consequence of the tranquil breath. And so bit by bit by bit, I am piecing together these skills, these tricks, so that I can create a very dynamic state within myself, which is simply the dorsal vagal complex and the right hippocampus of the brain and then the left amygdala of the brain. That's it. The puzzle is solved. Isn't that amazing? We're just tricking ourselves into activating the dorsal vagal complex, into inducing the right hippocampus of the brain, and inducing the left amygdala of the brain, and getting past the right amygdala, which is the center of doom. All right. So what is the right hippocampus? It's the expansion, right? So yogis, sometimes we overlook that. The Buddhists are very good at keeping that in mind, that expansion. But sometimes in a yogic practice, we overlook the expansion component. And so you got to keep that in mind. And so you're just tricking yourself, all right? In a kind of a 1, 2, 3 system here, we've got dorsal vagal complex, right hippocampus, expansion, left amygdala, bliss, joy. That's it. That's the formula. When you really boil it all down, it's 3, we're tricking ourselves into 3 things, and that's it. So here's some more tricks. Let's pile in a few more tricks and see how we do with them. So sometimes we come into meditation and we're a little bit distracted and we have this chatter, right? We have this mind that won't stop talking. These words, like Shakespeare said, words. What do you read, sir? Words. And we go into meditation and what is it? Words. They just won't stop, right? That's from the left hippocampus. That's where those words come from. TREE, tree. That comes from the left hippocampus. The picture where the real meaning is stored, that's the right hippocampus. But that words, just sometimes it won't stop, right? Okay, so try this out. This is called hakula. It comes from the kahuna of Hawaii. And so you pick one point right in front of you, right above eye level, right? Just look at that one point and then become aware of all of your peripheral vision on the left and the right. And this will cause your eyes to dilate. If I get really close, you might see it, all right? Oh, they're already dilated. Okay, so you just pick one point and you just look like that, all right? You see everything happening here, all right? And then you blow it out. I can only do it so big because, I'm in front of the camera, but, you kind of blow it way out with your arms like this so you can see all of that. Look at that one point and keep everything in your periphery. That's one trick. Let's do it a different way, all right? So now you're in the supermarket, you're in the line, right? And you're like, I've got time on my hands, Instead of tapping your foot going, come on, get through the line, I want to get home. Instead of doing that, just stare ahead of you. You don't have to be conspicuous at all. You can do this in the office as well. You stare ahead of you and start to take everything in. That annoying chatter, take it in. That street noise, the cars going by, take it in, right? All the flashing lights, take it in. All of the things on the counter around you, take it all in. Try and take all of it in at once. All of it, take it in as much as you possibly can. It will begin to overload your reticular activating system, which is what takes in information from your subconscious mind. So there's that filter, right? So it'll begin to overload that filter. Just keep taking everything into yourself. And so it's another way to activate the right hippocampus of the brain. All right, so we've got hakula, and then we've got take everything in. Those are 2 techniques, 2 tricks to trick your mind into activating this right hippocampus, this expansive part of your brain. Very important, so important. I was in Walmart, and I started playing with this, and it was so wonderful. Right in front of me on my left, there were these pies that they were selling, and the colors on the pie packages were really bright. So you had bright green and bright blue and bright red, and I just kept taking everything, the noise, the sound, the sights, the smells, everything. I just kept loading it in and trying to hold all of it in my mind at once. And that takes you out of a single processor into an everything processor. That's your right brain. That's what it's doing. That's how it works. So I kept doing this. I kept taking everything in, and all of a sudden, the pies started to breathe with me, right? So I would breathe, and they would flow like this. The colors would start to flow. So that kind of thing is a sign that, okay, now I've activated the right expansive brain. This is fantastic. So it's really fun. You can do it in the office. You can do it while you're not moving. I wouldn't do it while you're driving. Okay. Another trick. Words are also connected to your tongue because from childhood up, we associate words with our mouth that we talk, right? And so there's this neurological connection between those two. So when you think a word in your head and you don't say it out loud, there is still a micro movement in your tongue. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating? And you can try this out. So just sit very still and become very aware of your tongue, and then think a word and notice that it does this little tiny dance inside of your mouth. Just, it's very, very small. It's micro. But that is the connection. That's the neurological connection between the left hippocampus and your tongue. So how do we grab this? We can't grab this, right? But we can grab the tongue with our minds. We can grab the tongue and relax like this. You kind of open your mouth a little bit and you let the tongue, it kind of slides backwards. So you open up your mouth a tiny bit and you just slide it back like that. And it will retract. And then you just feel like your tongue is relaxing. And that will help to relax the left brain, because we can't grab the left brain, but we can grab our tongue. Amazing, right? Another trick, a trick to silence the left brain. So now, think of an emotion. We're gonna try a little trick with hakula. So think of an emotion, something that happened recently where you can still feel a very tiny emotional charge. Maybe somebody cut you off on the freeway, or and somebody said something at work and it got your hackles up. Something, anything that happened, a small emotion, right? That you can still feel right now. So go ahead and feel that right now. And while you're feeling that feeling, look at one point straight ahead of you and open up your peripheral vision. Keep doing that. Look at that one point. Open up your peripheral vision. Make it really big. Take everything in the room in at once. This will cause your eyes to dilate, right? What happened to that feeling? Now, I know you can access it again, maybe. But what happened while you did the exercise? Try it again. Feel the feeling. Keep the feeling. Now to go into hakula. Did it shift? Pretty cool, right? That's a neurological driver. You just did a trick to control your mind, even your emotional state, with hakula, using the right brain, inducing the right brain. You just did it. And it had an immediate effect, didn't it? It's a trick. It's a trick. Okay, now think of something in your life. You're like, I want to get this. I want to get this. Whatever it is, it could be anything outward, anything inward, anything that you want in your life. Just think of that right now. And it's like, I can't get this thing. What is it in your life? It's like, I'm trying to get this thing. I can't get this thing. Think about that. Think about it right now. Now go into hakula. Did your perception of it change? Try it again. I wanted this thing, and now go into hakula. Go into expansion, right? Take everything in. Did you feel it? Did you feel the shift? Amazing, right? You just accessed your right brain. See, your left brain is all about the story. It's all about, and this is why we can't unravel our story, is because we get emotion mixed up with the story and we can't unravel the two. But if you'll just step out of the left brain and access the right momentarily, then you will clear some of that up. And so we can do that in meditation. We can stare at a point in front of us and go into our peripheral vision as we sit down to meditate. Or maybe even in the middle of the meditation, just stare at one point, open your peripheral vision. Take everything in the room into yourself. All the sounds. Maybe you're trying to meditate, your neighbor is doing construction. Take it in. Try it. Take it, everything in. You have to take everything in. Take in the whole room, right? And then once you're practicing this, you can close your eyes and you can still dilate your eyes. And that's amazing. That's amazing. Then you take in whatever is in front of you. Maybe you see the spiritual eye. Maybe you just see a dark cave. That's still the spiritual eye, by the way. Maybe you see a bluish, greenish circle. A lot of people say it's green. A lot of people lately tell me they see green, which is interesting. I see violet, but it can be green. That's okay. That's still the spiritual eye. Maybe you just see blank. Stare at it and take it all in. Take this part in especially, right? Take that in especially. And it will dilate your eyes. And that's a neurological driver, which will induce the right brain because it's all, what is it? A trick. That's right. Another thing, concentrate on 2 points. So I want you to feel your left hand and feel your right hand at the same time. When you do that really well, when you really put your mind in both hands, or it can be both shoulders, or both of your ears. It's helpful if they're a little far apart, right? It's like your 2 knees maybe, or your 2 feet, or maybe the top of the head and the bottom of your feet. If you hold those 2 points at the same time, can you think a thought when you're doing that? I mean, really hold it. Really hold both sensations. I'm holding my mind here and I'm holding my mind here. Can you think a thought when you do that? Try it out. That's right, you can't. Why is that? Because your left brain is a sequential driver. It thinks one thing at a time. Your right brain does not. It holds everything at once. It's an omni driver. You've got a sequential driver and an omni driver, and you totally need both. It's not that we want to get rid of one. It's that we want them to work in harmony back and forth. Isn't that amazing? Let's try that out. Yeah, hold 2 points at once. And your brain just floats, doesn't it? Isn't that amazing? It's another trick to induce the right brain. That's really where we're trying to get. And so whenever your mind, you can't use this to shut off this, right? You can't, like, I'm going to control it. When you use your mind to stop your mind, you still got your mind, right? So we want to use a trick to silence the mind. That's what all of this is. We're using the dorsal vagal to access the right hippocampus and eventually the left amygdala, which gives you the whole story of yogic meditation. It's all the trick, isn't it? It's all based on skill. It's all based on principle. And that should make it easy and accessible. So I hope that happened for you today. If it did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you.